So, first of all, thank you for everybody coming out here today. I'm blown away by everybody here and the amount of work that's being done around suicide. It makes me very proud to see this. And it makes me realize I need to step up my game and do more. So it's very motivational for me. So thank you. My name is Brent Kraus, and I'm part of what I call the ripple effect of suicide. I initially was going to talk about, for about 15 seconds, some numbers, but obviously everybody in this room probably knows the numbers, and there's no need to talk about stats. But there is one stat I want to talk about. And they say for every one suicide, 115 people are affected. Now, if you do the math real quick, in 2013, there was 842,000 suicides. So that's 92 million people affected by suicide. That number is astounding and astonishing. And that's where my story comes from, is the people affected and how we live and deal with suicide or being involved with someone who's taken their life. When I was initially approached by the Crisis Center, I was immediately terrified, not because I didn't want to talk in front of a group of people, but because if you ask my mother, who's sitting in the crowd, I'm a very personal person. I do not open up very easily. So there was never any doubt that I wasn't going to talk, but I was just terrified to actually open up and talk about my brother in a personal way. But then I realized what good we've done, and we turned a tragic, negative story into something positive. And that's really what propelled me to talk. Now, life presents itself with obstacles, and we as individuals have the opportunity to react to those obstacles. We can let life beat us down until there's nothing left, or we can get up off the ground, wipe the dirt off, and literally punch life in the face. And I guess really, that's what my family's trying to do, is really stand up for what we believe in. And then, when I started to write the speech, it was extremely difficult to write, so hard. But then I remembered I wrote down my experience just after my brother's funeral in this book. And I hadn't opened this book for several years. It was just too difficult to read. But I mustered up the courage, and I opened the book. And here's just a few lines of what I wrote. September 1st, 2010, 2 a.m. I'm asleep. My phone rings. It's my dad calling. So the first thing that goes through my mind at 2 a.m. when my dad calls, my grandmother must have passed away. I pick up, it's my mom, calling from my dad's cell phone. She's frantic and hysterically crying. The next thought that goes through my mind, my dad must have died. Then she tells me, Matt's dead, Matt's dead. He jumped off his apartment building. Now, I'm not a religious person. I simply just believe that we're all in control of our own lives. And most everything in life happens for a reason. Now, do I think my brother's suicide happened for a reason? I don't know that answer, nor would I dare to even question it. But I do know that that tragic event has brought us here today and has taken our life down one path and totally changed it to a different direction, in a direction that we never thought possible. And it's brought us to do something so much more and so much better than what our family ever thought possible. So we boarded the plane to JFK at 6:30 a.m., and I just remember it being the longest flight of my life. And on the way to the airport, I spoke with the detective who was on the scene, and he was just prepping us for what was going to happen and where to go once we landed in New York. We arrived in New York at 8:30 in the morning. Over the next several hours, we were basically on a mission, lugging our luggage through the streets of New York City, just trying to find my brother. We encountered some truly amazing people along the way, and then we encountered some not so amazing people along the way. But it was all a part of our journey. We finally located my brother at the medical examiner's office. His face was exposed, bruised and bleeding. But Matt had a unique Elvis-esque look to him, and he had a very unique Elvis-esque smug look on his face. And it was very fitting for him. And I remember it made me smile in a obviously very bad situation. But But I do remember that moment being the single most difficult moment in my life, standing there with my parents, looking at my dead brother. So the next few days were filled with just getting things done, trying to piece together Matt's last few moments on Earth. He truly enjoyed going to Battery Park, so that's what we did. We walked, we talked, we cried. We took in the sights that he liked to see. We sat where he liked to sit. We saw the kids playing, the birds singing, and the boats passing by. And that experience was actually refreshing. Now, anyone who knew my brother knew that he was a very big star. He just loved to walk into a room and light up the room. And that's what made this so difficult for all of us when we found out about his mental illness, that he was suffering on the inside. He had an attempt on his life in July of 2007. And that experience was eye-opening for our family because we had no idea. We thought we were taking the right measures to help him. But then he moved to New York, and we lost all that direct guidance with him. I remember him telling my mother that he was in control of his mental status and he could handle it. Obviously, we were wrong. There are days that I hate my brother. I hate that he left me with my parents. He left me and my parents. I hate that he left me as the only one to look after my parents as they get older. And admittedly, those are selfish thoughts. But what upsets me the most is I have to raise my little girl not knowing her uncle. I have to fill her head with these memories of him. And I always tell her she has Uncle Matthew's eyes and his big toe. But that's all I'm left with, is these memories I have to fill her head with. There's no blueprint on how we each react to suicide. We each have our own relationship with the person who died, and we all grieve in our own way and our own way to find peace. For us, our true healing process started in the summer of 2012. My mother and I decided to start our own business. Something neither of us really had any experience in doing. And the business was centered around something that my brother truly enjoyed, bow ties. My mom used to make him bow ties, and she had been sewing her entire life, so that part made sense. I had an background in IT, so the e-commerce part of it made sense. But what didn't make sense is we knew we wanted to be able to give back and donate in some way for suicide, but we didn't know to who. Enter the crisis center and enter the problem. There is not enough awareness around what the crisis center does and who they are. They're an extraordinary and incredible organization. And quite honestly, when we discovered the crisis center looking for someone to work with or an organization to work with, for us it was 3 years too late. But we were taken back, flabbergasted, and truly disappointed in ourselves and disappointed in the system. After my brother's first attempt, he went through the system at St. Joe's. He was Baker acted. Why no one in the system told us about the crisis center is beyond me. And why politics and money take the place of people's lives, I still don't understand today. And that is what we need to change in Tampa. If the intersection of life and death passes through the hospital system, then the awareness of the crisis center needs to be spoken about. Because I truly believe if we would have been told about the crisis center back in 2007, I don't know if it would have saved his life, but I certainly know he would have gotten the help that he needed. So now it's become my family's life mission to promote and spread awareness about suicide and the crisis center. It's become both a blessing and a curse, but honestly, there's nothing I'd rather be doing. Our company, Ella Bing, which was named after my daughter, and he only met her once when she was 6 months old, proudly donates 10% of all our proceeds back to suicide prevention and the crisis center. Our logo may be a funky pink flamingo wearing sunglasses and a bow tie, but the real meaning and motivation behind the company is my brother and that awareness we're trying to spread. The blessing has been my family. It's brought us closer together, closer than ever before, quite honestly. And it's what's helped us come together. Our purpose is suicide prevention and awareness. We just happen to be a company that makes bow ties, and the bow tie is our platform to spread that awareness. So does everything happen for a reason? Well, my family's been touched by tragedy. We were knocked down. We've gotten up, and our fist is clenched, and we're ready to fight. Thank you.